This local marketing update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/Scott P. Gallagher.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here, Local Marketing Source, bringing your weekly local marketing industry update. Now, next week's LMS member faculty call is going to be, I didn't write that down, and, well, it's 1 week, next Wednesday, and next Wednesday is going to be the 5th. Yeah, if I'm doing my math right, we've only got 28 days in this month, right? At 4 o'clock Eastern time. Just looking over, my computer is acting really funny today, but computers always tend to act funny with me. But we got a few different updates this week to go over and a couple of different things to talk about. It's going to be a relatively short call. There didn't seem to be a lot happening in the local search arena this week, but we're going to talk a little bit about something called EXIF data and image search and what Google wants to do and handle that. We're going to talk about different link networks and some old school SEO and what Google's doing with these link networks, and some changes to feature changes to Google Maps that are long overdue, but we can definitely get an idea of what Google is trying to do in the local front. And then finally, some guideline updates in Google Places on how we can update and change the title information. It's a really interesting change. I'm not sure why Google's doing it, but we can definitely speculate. So on that note, something called EXIF data for image search. And Google says we reserve the right to use EXIF data for image search ranking. In other words, there's data that's embedded inside of images that Google is saying, we reserve the right to utilize this data to help rank images. Now, image search is pretty important. We've talked about tagging your images with alt tags and certain data so it gets shows up in the search results. And we talk about the images that are used for businesses. We don't want to use stock imagery in any of the portals. We definitely want to use proprietary images. Now, EXIF data goes beyond alt data in an image. This is information like the date and the time that the photo was taken, the location that it was taken, maybe the camera that was being used, and a whole bunch of other technical data about the photo. And today, Google is not utilizing that data for ranking purposes, but it's saying that they would reserve the right to do so. Now, why would they do that? Well, this is data that's cameras and smartphones are putting into these images when that image is ultimately being taken. And the location of it and the date could really say a lot about the authenticity of that image. It's also very difficult to manipulate that data and spam. In other words, it's got a lot of trust and authority. So when Google has access to data that has trust and authority and it could dictate some specifics about that business, it's probably fairly relevant. What Google doesn't go ahead and say is utilize this information. While they encourage it, they say utilize this information, let's say, in your XML sitemap. Well, I would start pushing that data through your sitemaps and letting the search engine. If Google has come out and said, we reserve the right for this, let's give it to them. And we're real marketers here. So if you're taking pictures of a local business, the front and the inside and whatnot, that EXIF data is going to be highly relevant. And more than likely, be used to a greater degree in the future. So this is definitely something that you should be employing and utilizing for either your local business or your clients. All right, link networks. We've been seeing in the last year or so how Google's been tackling a variety of different link networks. I don't normally talk about them, but they just took down 2 more Polish networks, and they are working through link networks in Germany. In other words, you want a penalty? Get links from these link networks. Do not utilize them. Remember, you've got to have all the links that you feel that don't have value are going to your site. Disavow them. Get rid of them. Don't use them. There's some additional features that has been added to Google Maps. For example, one thing is Google Maps. We talk about this a lot on the calls. Google Maps should be integrated with your local business's websites. That's a pretty big feature. Not a feature, a pretty big factor, excuse me, in ranking. And it ties Google Places a lot stronger, and it gives a lot more authority uh, to the business in question. So on the Contact Us page, you want to have a map or driving directions or anything of that nature. And one of the features is that's being integrated into this could be integrated directly into your client's website or your website is send this information to my email and or my car. Get that? Integration from the local business website that will automatically send information to the mobile device or a vehicle. It's a pretty powerful feature. Um, or whatnot. Now, number 2 is default location. Normally, or in the past, we were able to go and define our location, tell Google where we're at. Well, guess what? There's no easy way to do this anymore in the new maps. Why? Probably because Google has gotten pretty good at understanding where you're at, regardless if you're on a desktop or a mobile device. That means that their location, they're confident in their ability to determine location. You know what that tells me for local search? Geomods are becoming less and less important. Geographical modifiers in your keywords research is becoming less and less important. Um, when a certain profile that comes up, Google has added a more info link. In other words, making it easier for users to go to your Google Plus profile page. There's going to be more traffic going to Google Plus local pages now because of this link. What does that tell us? It tells us again confidence in Google's ability to understand the information that they've got, and they're pretty confident that their information in Google Plus local is powerful. It's also telling us that it's being used more, and it's also a push to encourage their social network to be utilized further. Um, a strange one, terrain maps disappear when looking at directions. That's not really relevant for us. 3D directions, Google has launched that, and autoplay features. So those are some of the changes in Places. And finally, Google Places has updated their guidelines. What they are allowing now is something called descriptors in the business title. In other words, you have your real world business name, local marketing source. Google is allowing us now to not violate the terms and conditions by putting a descriptor in. A descriptor ultimately is just further help, and they've given different examples as to what's suitable. For example, Starbucks downtown, downtown being a descriptor, or Joe's Pizza. You could add delivery to it. If your company name is Joe's Pizza, You could add delivery to it. But taking Joe's Pizza and adding best delivery service is a violation of their terms and conditions. So be careful. Now, this tells me a couple of different things, that Google is so confident that they know what the business name is, and they could potentially penalize abusers of this descriptor. So don't abuse it. There's got to be an insane amount of abuse that's going to likely occur from this. So we have to assume that Google has their confidence that now they can define and understand what the real business name is. The question becomes that we don't know about is how this is all going to affect a NAP, because this is only on Google Plus pages. Not quite sure how it could be utilized for different businesses, but you know, in my industry, the chiropractic industry, I can think about, you know, ABC Wellness, and then you could add chiropractor to it. That would be a fair descriptor. All right, so that's all the stuff that I have to go over this week. Like I said, there really wasn't a lot this week, but that's good. That will give you some time to implement some of the stuff that we had last week that wasn't as relevant.
Well, thanks for watching the Local Marketing Industry Update. We've got these things coming out every single week, so if you liked with what you heard, just click the button right above me right here to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to get a little bit more, right over here, go check out localmarketingsource.com. We've got free reports that you can grab. You can even register for our free marketing course to get in and see the portal. Or just go ahead and follow us on some of the social channels. We'll be around. Until next time.